Hello, welcome back to the Mobile Motorbike Mechanic channel. I'm Steve. Today we're heading off into Coventry to do a Keeway, I can't remember if it's an RKF or an RFK 125, but we're doing a full service on it, so we'll see you when we get there. Right folks, here we are with the Keeway, I think it's RFK, RKF, whatever it is, 125. So little commuter bike for the chap who lives here. So we're just going to carry out a service. So we're going to be doing oil filter, air filter and spark plug on this one. He also wants me to check a couple of bits because the throttle's not returning quite right. As you can see, it's taking a bit of time to return. And the gear shift over here is a bit rusty as well. So we need to get into that. But yeah, let's get it fired up, get it warmed up, get it on the paddock stand, and then we can get the oil out of it. This bike's got it's got the bobbins on it, so we'll just change over the paddock stand from our cups to the forks. That'll do it. Bit wibbly wobbly. Right. About 1,000 zip ties. Right, okay. We didn't install that. Okay. Right. So, change a little bit baggy. That adjuster plate doesn't seem to be sitting right either. But you can see all the rust coming out of the middle of this gear shift here. The shift selector, and you know, normal sort of commuter bike, they do get a bit of a rough time, especially in winter when it's salt on the road and bad weather. So what we'll do is we'll pull this all apart, clean it, re-grease it, put it back together again. We'll grease up the kickstand as well. But first things first, it's pretty warm now. Yeah, there's a bit of heat in the engine. So we'll get under it, we'll get the sump plug out, drop the oil, and whilst that's draining out, we can crack on and get everything else done. Right, so that's the engine warmed up. Now, this is, like I say, Keeway 125. I can't remember if it's RKF or RFK. I can't remember. It'll be in the description. Anyway, basically a little copy of a Yamaha motor. So, 19mm. And we've got to go underneath, right underneath. You access it from this side of the bike, it's a little bit easier, but you can see the sump plug is there, but it's right up tight next to the exhaust. So we'll just crack that open. There we go. And now we bring our drain pot in. Get under it and get it drained out. Right. Right, so with the sump plug removed, you'll find your little thimble oil filter and the spring, so that's how it all stacks up inside the engine. So when you undo this, this all tends to fire out because it's under spring pressure. The thimbles, they don't normally need replacing. All you do is give them a good clean through with a bit of got the old spray bottle with brake cleaner in it, and as long as you get all of the if there's any particles in there, you can see through it, like I say, but there's nothing untoward with that one. we'll be replacing the engine oil filter anyway, but like I say, it just stacks up, because the spring can go either way around, it doesn't matter, but it just stacks up, and that's how it goes back into the engine. So as you can see, we're draining out down the bottom there, so whilst that's draining out, we'll get this footrest off, because he's having a few issues with that gear shift. There you go, you see, look, it's just stuck down. So we'll get all this apart, cleaned up, and get that sorted for him. Alright, couple of Allen bolts, yeah, that'll do. How tight are these going to be, I wonder? Probably, oh, not too bad. There we go. Right, so that's for the perch. We've got to get this 10mm under here undone to get the rest of the linkage out. Move that over there, because we're bound to drop the bloody bolt into the pot, aren't we? Come on, out you come. There he is. Just trying to open this up a bit with the old screwdriver in the gap trick. There we go, that's got it. And now I can grab one of those, one bolt off, and this should be the last bolt, he says should. There it is. Right. So with that apart, that then gives us access to this bolt to get all of this lot off. Let's see how easy this is going to be to get apart. Hang on a second. Is it going to be easy, or is it? Oh, it is actually going to be quite easy. And now it should just wiggle off there. And you can see the amount of rust inside. And ugh, yeah, look at that. Horrible. Right, we'll get all that cleaned up, put back together again, and get it back on. Right. What have we got in the side of the van? Let's grab a drill, and then in here we've got some abrasive drums. Let's just see if that's going to be the right size. I think it is. Right, just going to grab the footrest. As you can see, oh, it's not quite the right size, bugger. Right, I'm going to have to get a smaller one. Thought that one was going to do it. So people often ask what sort of spares and what have you we carry in the van. We don't carry many spares, but we do carry quite a few tools and bits and pieces. Right. There we are. And you can see the rust all coming out of that one. It's getting a bit cleaner, isn't it? Yeah, I can't hold on to it. That's looking, yeah, that's looking a hell of a lot cleaner in there now, as you can see. Right, Now let's do the pivot point and we can grease it up, put it back together again and be done with it. Right, so the pivot point, there should be a sort of a lower portion in the middle of that lot. Let's start to grind it out. You can see the amount of rust in there is just incredible. Well, we're not taking material off with this, even though it is quite a coarse grit. We're just worried about getting the rust off. Right, and then go to a bit of Scotch pad. Let's see if we can get it cleaned up a bit better. Oh, that's looking better, isn't it? Already. Right, I'd say that's about done. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put a little bit of grease in there to keep the water out and obviously keep the bare metal protected. But we can put a bit of grease on there, reassemble it, get it back on the bike. Right, a little bit of grease on there. So you don't need much. You're just protecting the bare metal really from rust. That'll do. And let's just grab the gear shift. Whoa, slippery, very nice. Okay. Oh, I can't put that back on. I've got to clean that. Let's bring it all up here, eh? Right. So that's nice and slippery now. There is a flat on that, which lines up with the flat on there. He says. There we go. So it can only go in one way. Put the bolt back in again. Being a footrest, you don't want it coming off. Release, get off. Nope. It won't give me my tool back. That's the thing. Right, and as you can see now, that's nice and free. So we can get that back on the bike, get it all back together again. Ooh. Right, so we were just about to fit this back on the bike and I've noticed actually it's really stiff and horrible on this linkage, so I'm going to take that apart and try and free that off a bit. Like I say, this is just a build-up of crud and road grime and what have you. But I think, yeah, it's not actually the pivot, it's the rose joint itself. So inside this rose joint here, it's just all horrible and yeah, it's just all horrible. Right, let's get a bit of WD-40 and spray in there and try and free that bushing off. it's feeling a lot better. And obviously any little bit of sort of stiction, as it were, stickiness in a gear shift is going to be amplified because you've got a pivot point there, you've got a pivot point there, you've got a pivot point here. So if all three of those pivot points have got a bit of a drag, or like I say, stiction in them, they're sticking a little bit, you're really going to notice it. But that is now spinning nice and freely in there, so that rose joint's all good again. Cool. Right, unfortunately with these you can't sort of get any grease into them or anything, so we'll just give a bit of WD and it should be good for a little while longer, which is good. Better than doing nothing. Right, so we'll get all that lot back together again and then get it back on the bike. Yeah, that's a lot freer now. You can see it's falling down on its own weight. Much better. Right, let's get it fitted. Cool. And now that feels so much better, and it's also definitely returning to its neutral position. Good. Right, next we've got to do the side stand. So same process, we'll just take it apart, take it off the bike, clean it, put it all back on again. Didn't think there was a nut on the back, but okay. It obviously was. Yuck. Captive nut back on the back of it, and we're done. Much nicer, much better. So that's returning nicely now. Ooh, without too much. Yeah, that's better. I've just noticed this side stand cut off is bent to all hell as well, so we'll give that a quick bend back. Right, so that's those couple of little issues dealt with, so we can crack on with the service now. So what I want to do is go around the other side of the bike and we'll get the oil filter off. Right, so oil filter is hidden behind this little cover plate here, so it's 3 bolts and then we can get that one off. You will get some oil dripping out of it, so have a cloth on standby. Even if you put the bike on the side stand and lean it over that way, you'll still get oil out of this. So let's say have a cloth ready to go. Right, and then for some reason it's 2 10s and an 8. I don't know why, but on this particular bike, and you want to work pretty quickly, because the quicker you get it apart, the less oil's going to drip. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of oil coming out of that. And the gasket, and then the oil filter itself. Oh, let me get a pick to get that out of there. Handy dandy little pick. And there's your oil filter. Now, you might have noticed, you might not have noticed, when it came out, there's a closed end and there's an open end. So the open end goes inwards on this one. So, I'll stop that dripping in a second. We'll go get another filter. Okay, it's a brand new filter. Like I say, open end into the bike. Just make sure it sits in there nicely. Clean off the mounting surface. Yep. Now, ooh, we've had a bit of an issue here. Right, let's just clean this all up a minute. Come back to me in a second. Right, so we just cleaned up the cover plate. Now, we've got to get that O-ring to sit in that groove there, but as you see, it just falls out. So what I'm going to do is a little bit of jointing compound, blue Hylamar. This isn't a replacement for the gasket, but what it will do is it will just hold the gasket in place whilst we fit it. So it's very useful. There you go, just holds it in place. Don't forget your spring, and pop it all together. Sorted. Right, give a little wash off with some brake cleaner just to get the worst of the oil off there. And then when we fill it with oil, we'll come back and we'll just check for leaks. Spark plug next. So I've got to get this panel off here, because the spark plug is behind there somewhere. So it should just be 3 bolts, but one of them's a screw, so 2 bolts and a screw. There's one, and there's 2, and then there's a screw just here. Okay, and that's our HT lead here and the spark plug underneath it. Let's just get this plug lead off. There it goes. Right, and you can see the spark plug just there. Bit of a tight quarters fit, but you can just get onto it. Hey, spark plug. So, brand new replacement spark plug. Always check them to make sure they look right. Check the numbers, CR8E, CR8E, we're all good. So, old one back in the box, brand new one going in. Always give a little check just to see what the gap is. They should be factory set, but always just give them a little look anyway. And then, then we just got to install it. Which you probably won't be able to see because my big hands are in the way. Now, whenever you're installing a spark plug, make sure you're not cross-threading it. So always start it off by hand. You notice I've not picked up any tools, I've not started trying to wind it in with a spanner or anything. And the reason is, if you get this cross-threaded and bugger it up, don't even go there. Okay, so as much of a struggle as it is, just do it by hand to start with. There we go. And once you're happy it's going in by hand, then you can pick up the tools. Once he's set down, give him a little to do him up. Right, let's get that plug lead back on there. There we are. Nice positive click on the plug lead. Right. Whew. Panel back on again and we're all finished. Don't know if you can hear that on the video, but seems to be a very unhappy cat. Anyway, right, spark plug done, so we can throw that one in the bin. So we're on to the air filter next. Right, air filter next there. So key in and we'll get the seat off. That's that one gone. Oh, look who serviced this bike last time. Serviced by the mobile motorbike mechanic. Yay! Right, rider's seat off next. Now he's got some bits of string and what have you in the way, but we'll get rid of that. So it's just these two bolts here that we need to undo. These two Allen bolts, one there, and we can get the rider's seat off. So when did we last service this one? August 2024. Quite a while ago. Am I bleeding? Oh, that's what the spark plug did to me. Actual blood. How are we going to do this? Get around these bits of string. These bits of string weren't here previously, I might have to undo these. Oh my god. I don't think this fellow was in the Navy. It's looking at the state of these knots. Nope. It's just falling apart. There. That's got it. Right, okay. Ta-dee. Right. Airbox. So we've got two screws there for the airbox, but the other screws are underneath this plate, so a couple of 10 mils. Take that plate off and then we can get to these two screws that are under here. Ta-da! Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so there is a little piece you got to sort of get out the side here. It's awkward. There, that's it. And then you can pull the air filter out. Genuine new air filter. If you want the part number off it, part number's there for the air filter. Oh, it is RKF, not RFK. So, pop the air filter back in. New air filter going in. Oh, actually that's upside down. And the reason it's upside down is those two little nipples there need to go downwards. And then you can put your finishing piece back in. There we go. That holds it all together. Right. Pop the lid back on again. Whichever way around the lid went, I can't remember. I think that's the wrong way around. It must be the wrong way around. Yeah, there we go. Notice I'm not doing any one screw up fully until we've got all started, and then they're lined up with the holes and you know they're going to go in. Cool. You can nip them in. And then seat back on. Now when you put the seat back on, you've got to make sure that this goes up underneath this piece here to stop the front of the seat pulling up. So just give it a check before you put the bolts in. Good. Right, that's the air filter sorted. So now we can circle back round. We'll put the sump plug back in again. We'll fill it up with oil. Alright, so refitting of the sump plug. So we need the thimble into the spring onto the thimble, and then that whole lot goes up into the bike. A little bit messy, but a little bit of a bugger as well, because you're pushing against the spring and you've got to get the thread caught on the sump plug. So it's a bit of a pain, but you can get there. Anyway, you're probably not going to be able to see it because I need to be under it. There's your sump plug. It's just caught on the threads. I haven't done it up yet, but that's where it needs to go. Like I say, it's a bit of a pain because you can't get to it from the other side because the exhaust's in the way. So you can only get it to it from this side, but you can't see what you're doing, and it's awkward. Right, so filling up with oil time. These bikes, they tend to take about 850 ml, something like that. So we use Motorbike 1040 semi-synthetic. Exactly the same oil, just that's the old packaging, that's the new packaging. So because that's an older bottle, we'll just use that one, but they're exactly identical. 5000 1040 Motorbike. Let's get it undone. Boom, 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 boom. Ooh, now that is creamy oil. That's not a good sign. That can indicate a blown head gasket if it's a water-cooled bike, or it can be just the bike's done a lot of little trips and not properly warmed up. So keep an eye on that. Brand new bottle of oil. Like I say, this is just the older packaging, but it's exactly the same. And in she goes. So I think on these motors it's just about I'd say 850, something like that. We'll find out. You can see the oil starting to go up in the sight glass. So we've got oil in the sight glass now. So that's used pretty much all of that 1 litre of oil. And as you can see, we're about right in the sight glass, sort of 3/4 of the way up it. There's the line just there on my finger nail. But we haven't started the bike and filled up the oil filter yet. So I'm going to put the rest of that 1 litre into the bike. Right, so we've got some oil in the bike. So we'll key on and we'll go for a start. We'll just cover that over. Just let it run for a couple of seconds. We've got no oil light on the dashboard, so that's good. As you can see, all the oil's gone out of the sight glass. So we'll give it 5 minutes, let that come back up again, and then we'll go for a final top up. So it is over 1 litre of oil. So if you're going to buy a service kit or something online and they just say 1 litre of oil, you might need more. So you might need a 2nd litre. Right, so that's the oil topped up. We did have to put an extra couple of 100 ml in just to bring it back up to the line. So if you are buying a service kit for one of these bikes online, they normally only come with 1 litre, so go out and buy another litre because you definitely need it. So yeah, so that's the service done. So spark plug, oil filter, we've done the strainer as well, done the air filter and obviously replaced the oil. You've seen us do the gear shift and the side stand, so now we just want to have a look. If you notice, this throttle's not returning very quickly, it's a bit stiff. I think it's the cable, but we're going to get into this switch gear, just take it apart and have a quick look and see what the issue is there. I can't remember but I think these screws are different sizes. Yeah, they are. So remember which screw came out of which hole. Let me just get a pot to put those in so we don't lose them. There. Right. Now, let's have a look, see what we've got in here. Right, so we've taken the switch gear out. That's the throttle cable in my fingers there. You can see that the twist grip's spinning nice and freely on the handlebar. So the issue is going to be with the cable itself, and I can actually feel that's quite stiff in there. So what we'll do is we'll get some WD-40 and we'll spray it down inside the cable run and see if we can free that off a bit. So let's grab the end of the cable. There he is. And what we're going to do is spray some WD-40 down inside there just to lubricate the cable. And hopefully with a couple of pulls and what have you, we'll get the cable lubed and get a nice return action on the throttle again. Because we don't have another cable with us. Oops. So we ain't going to be replacing it. Let's see how that's working. Come here. Oh. And yes, we are pretty close to the airport. In case you're wondering. Let's reassemble that. Giving you home. Oh, go in. That's it. Talk about awkward. Bloody hell. Right. That's better. That's returning nicely now. Right, let's get the screws back in that one. And check the throttle. Right. So, that tells us all we need to know. We've checked the twist grip on the handlebar and that was spinning nicely. We've tidied up the cable, that's freed up. So it's got to be the interface between this twist grip and this casing. That's where the issue lies. So let's get it back apart again and find out why. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to slacken the screws off quite loose. Yeah, you see, that's starting to return, but it's not there. Okay, that tells us all we need to know. Got to dig a bit deeper to find the cause. Sometimes it ain't very straightforward. Whee. Okay, let's get it apart and have a look again. So as you can see, that is spinning quite nicely. Even that's not spinning all that nicely, is it? Why, oh why, oh why? There, right. So that's doing nicely. That's not. You can see the relationship between this perch and this handlebar. It's only moving by a couple of mil, but that's nice, and that isn't. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slacken off this brake. I'm just going to move it literally 2 or 3 millimeters that way and check again. Alright. Just going to move that literally a couple of millimeters that way. That's all I'm going to do. Right, now let's reassemble this and try again. So very subtle changes can make a big difference. But if you test each part of it individually, and you know the cable's working and the twist grip's working and everything's working, then you can find the reason for the fault. Ha! Beautiful. Right, marvellous. Let's just make sure everything's tight again. Yep. Cracking. Okay. So we just got the rear wheel to check for alignment, and then we're done. Finally, drive chain. So it's a little bit loose, so we will tighten that up. Also, this plate at the back here, you notice it's misaligned, so we're going to address that anyway. But the chap wanted to know if the rear wheel was in alignment because he's adjusted the chain. So I'm just going to use our laser line here. So all that does is sticks onto the rear sprocket, and as you can see, it produces a line up the chain, and you can see it's hitting pretty much all the way up the chain. So yeah, it's a bit of a stiff link there actually. It needs a bit of lube on that chain, but yeah, as you can see, it's producing a line all the way up the chain, right the way up. So it's yeah, he's got it in line, so I can reassure him that he has adjusted the chain correctly, but we're going to adjust it anyway to get rid of a bit of that sag out of it. Right, so first things first, we want to find the tight spot in the chain. Ooh, it's about there, and we're just going to measure the chain tension. Right, middle of the chain, and we're going to measure all the way up is about 15 mil, and all the way down that's about 60. So 15, or 60 minus 15 is about 45. And if you see on the side here, it says 28 to 35 mil. So yeah, you want about, I think 28 to 35 mil is about an inch and a quarter for old money. So yeah, I always set them to around about an inch, but yeah, so that's a bit much. So we just need to undo the axle, pull the rear wheel back a little bit to tighten that up, and then it'll all be good. Just going to loosen off those to start off with. It's a bit awkward because the the paddock stand's actually hitting the rear wheel spindle. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to change the paddock stand and put it back onto cups. That's better. Now I can get to the axle. Is that turning the whole thing? Yes. Okay. Right. So with the rear wheel spindle now loose, we can adjust the chain. So what we want to do is we're literally just going to turn that one sort of turn, so from the bottom to the top. We'll reach round and we'll do exactly the same on the other side. And then you check your tension. So that's now all the way up 15, all the way down 55. So that one half of a turn has taken 5 mil out of the chain. So do it again. There we go. And check your tension again. So that's 20 mil. That's 20 to 50. So 50 minus 20 is 30 mil. And we wanted 28 to 35. That's it, bang on. Now when you do these nuts up, the thickness of your spanner is quite crucial, because if you can't get that nut done up because your spanner's too thick, you need a thinner spanner. Okay, and all you want to do is you just want to nip it off, that's it. Right, let's just go and do a final check. Right, as you can see, we've still got a bit of play in there, so we'll just do a final measure. Up to 20, down to 50. So 20 minus 50 is 30 mil of play. So spot on there. Just check for any tight spots. Just check it a couple of times in different places, make sure you've still got that. Yeah, it's all good. Right, and we'll just grab some chain lube and we'll lube this chain up for him. Right, a bit of the old rock oil chain lube on there. It's looking a lot sort of wetter, as it were, and it's turning nice and smooth, no horrible noises, all lovely there. Right, and we've still got a good 30mm of play in the chain. Right, I think we're done. Nearly forgot the service sticker, which can go over the top of the other service stickers. There we go. Right folks, that's this little Keeway all done. So yeah, we've managed to sort out the throttle on it, check the wheel alignment, sort out the gears, do the service. So yeah, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you again on the next video.